Welcome back. We are live at the Lamont Roach Jr. Fearless Fergal McCrory weigh-in just completed. It's been a heck of a day. 10 fights, 10 different countries represented, 3 WBA championship belts on the line. I am here with the president, Gilberto Mendoza. Thank you for joining us, my friend.
No, thank you.
El Presidente, Gilberto Mendoza.
No, thank you very much. I'm more than pleased to be in DC. DC boxing has a long and rich history with the World Boxing Association. We go back, our first vice president used to be from Washington, D.C. He passed away. He left us a lot of a legacy in our sports, a lot of rulings of a different era. I'm talking about the 80s and the 90s. His name was Yorban Nixon. He was always a WBA member who brought many talent to organizations because people ask me, what's your job? What are you supposed to do as a president of organization? Besides putting a belt, taking pictures or selfie with a world champion, there's more into it. We have a social purpose, basically, which with all sanctioning bodies. Not only us, the World Boxing Council, the World Boxing Organization, International Boxing Federation, but each of us, in some way, try to deliver the message and try to do our job easier through our policies. And I will put it simple to everybody who's watching. It's just like whenever there's a fighter that my life has allowed me to witness as a child, all the sacrifice that is put in the body and the mind and in an entire years of very hard work. Even though that happens, there's like a little window of opportunity to convert that hope and dream in a reality and to succeed. And even if it doesn't happen, that person and that athlete, because I see a person, I don't see an athlete. And when I see a champion, yes, of course, you have a champion besides the belt, but I see a human being. And what happens if you are not successful, boxing will give you values, boxing will give you culture, boxing will give you a tool to somehow take a decision in life. It's going to be good or bad, but you're going to have it. And that's the main thing us as a world sanctioning body are. Of course, we have a lot of regional titles that in somehow, if you want to compare it to baseball, we go down to the FAR system. That's the only way you can give talents opportunities. And we have a couple of them. We have a female fighter, I'm looking forward to Lester and Carlos Gongora, who I met from the amateurs. Well, I'm a boxing avid fan. Yeah, I cannot deny that. My father used to call me like I was a gym rat because I used to get all 5 facts. There was no computers or stuff. There was nothing about it. There was no computers.
Print out paper.
You had to papers, or you had to receive the news by fax. I'm 53. I'm 53. I know my age comes, falling down, but I did grow up. And just going back to this fight, to the DC fight, first time open scoring was approved in fights. WBC, WBA, we did it here. I think the main event was Keith Holmes for the middleweight title, and we had Chambra Mitchell. I can't recall his opponent, but that was the first time we tried. It was in 1999. It was in DC. 2014, we came for a great card, great history moment when Bernard Hopkins defeated Baby Shumenov. But there is a fact there that ties us to this event tomorrow that makes it good. Lamont Brewster fought in the undercard. Like when he was a 4-rounder, a 6-rounder, something, we were just discussing that back there. That was 10 years ago. So it makes me feel old, but it also makes me feel happy that somehow we supporting fighters like Lamont, which is an example of what I'm doing, of what my job is, besides doing rankings, rulings, that's the normal part. But that's what drives me. That's my motivation. That's what it makes me wake up every day to see somebody with a smile, or just to give back to the community he comes from, And the same way I was telling Lamont Senior and Lamont Junior that you see me in many events, you see me in big fights, but to me this was a very special place. Besides the history, personal history that I had with that director from the WBA, who was the first vice president of WBA, you know, that was Van Nixon, but also because I've seen the father work hard for the dreams of his son.
Lamont Roach
And
Sr.
yes. And I was just telling him he has a big heart and he's very brave because he's one of the, I witnessed a lot of negotiations. I witnessed a lot of purse bids. When promoters want to make a fight, they don't agree, we call for a purse bid. And whoever, has the highest bid, that's the one who earns the rights to do the fight, championship fight usually. And he basically studied all the offers he has for his son. And he went himself to Houston, Texas. That's where I'm living right now. That's where the headquarters of the WBA at some point will be. We're still in Panama. He went there. He represented himself. And I saw that a couple of times. And last time I saw it, I don't know, it was around 2000. It was Virgil Hill, former light heavyweight champion, who who represented himself. So when I saw him that, it's just like, it's like when you live for a dream, when you live for your passion, and that moved me a lot. And I had to be here. Anything that happened in the first defense that I had to be here, it was no excuse for me. It was no excuse for me if I would miss it. And then, you walk around, maybe, let's say I was having a bad day. Let me share. I was not having the best of all, going through a lot of things, personally and in job. I came here, my energy changes immediately. You walk in, you see Marco Antonio Barrera, you see Chris Algieri, you see Juan Manuel Marquez. I guess we're going to see Paulie tomorrow. Then I get Franchon was around here. Jorge Linares, who basically came out of a program in Venezuela that we had. It was called KO Drugs. He goes back with us since he was like 12 years old. Yeah. And, just in fact,
it's a shot of adrenaline.
I used to crash at his house when I used to see talents, because I used to do that a lot with the amateurs, not getting involved with professional. So I know him since he was like 11 and 12, and I saw his eyes with that fierce, staring at you, saying, "I'm going to be a world champion." And you see that from a kid, you don't believe it at the moment. But suddenly you see him earning rankings in the amateurs. Suddenly you see him in Japan, and suddenly you see him winning the title. Say, "Wow, he proved everybody wrong." And that's another thing, that's basically
talking about Linares, correct?
Yeah. Linares,
knocking down Lomachenko helps too.
Yeah, it was the first one to give him a knockdown, and it has been to me, being boxing for me is part of my life. So I don't know what I want to do when
how
I
long
retire.
have you been? How long?
But I'll get used to that.
How long have you been WBA president?
Well,
and how did you become WBA?
Well,
president?
First of all, my father never wanted me to be in this position, and he was president for 33 years. He was a boxer. He was an amateur boxer, and let me go back.
So your father was the WBA president for 33 years?
Yeah, for 33 years. Yeah. So yeah. Sometimes, it's hard to carry a name. Sometimes it's
big
difficult to be in front of the critics because you're the son of, and you have to make your path. When you said Gilberto Mendoza Jr., I don't like it. I like to be called Gilberto Jesus Mendoza because that's my time, and with all the love and respect for my father. But we had different ways of thinking and watching boxing. He did, in fact, I inherited it from him, the respect, the rights of the fighters, because my father was raised by a single mother. His father basically ran away, and that was the main reasons he used to box and do a lot of sports. And through that sports, he got a scholarship. Just trying to make the story very, very simple. He used to help my grandmother at the house where she was working because my grandmother. Can I talk everything? Yeah. I said, okay. My grandmother, she was allowed to work in the house, being pregnant with my father, and the head hole of the house said, okay, you're going to let you work. But then, you will help my wife raise my kids, clean the house. So she stayed there. And my father grew up basically there. And my great-grandparent was a very tough guy. When my father used to get beat, he sent him to the gym. And that was stories like that. So my father at some point got in love with it. But working at that house, I'm telling you, the head of the family, Moreno was the last name. He passes away. And his friends knew that my father was kind of different, so they gave him money for a scholarship in order to go to the capital, because we're not Caracas. We're Venezuelans, first of all. I'm Venezuelan. So we're not from Caracas, which is the capital. We live, my father and I were born in a city named Barquisimeto, which is a long name, but it was like, let's say, 300 miles. So you got to drive 4 hours or something to go to Caracas. So that was a big move. We're talking about 50s, we're going back to the 50s. So he got that scholarship. He used it to do newspapers, to sell newspapers, and he was getting a scholarship for playing soccer. But in the meantime, he was doing boxing, and he got to spar a very popular fighter who was never the champion. And I'm going to give you the name. You got to go back to Wikipedia. Ramon Arias. He fought for the title against Pascual Perez, from Argentina. He was a flyweight. So he got that, and he fell in love. So just forget about, well, my father graduated. He obtained a job with the same people who gave him the scholarship. He paid them back the scholarship. But this was private, though, not public. It was private. So when he suddenly moved, he gets a position in the city where I was born. That's when I was born. But he got a better opportunity in another city of Venezuela. It's called Maracay, which I was raised, and I feel like I'm from that city, more than the one I was born, because I left there was a year or 2 years. There, he met a friend who introduced him to boxing. They look at his resume and they saw he had some fights. He got involved with commission. And then, I think he went to Miami Beach 78 convention. He proposed a ranking. He met Bob Arum, King, and all the story. Yeah. That's when everything started.
All the guys, yeah.
And my father now this is my story. My father made me go to school to become a computer. In Venezuela, we said system engineer.
Yeah, systems, yeah.
Yeah, computers. But it's more computer science. I check.
Low-level language.
Yeah, it was more computer science. I was always involved meeting champions. I went to Golden Gloves in Toledo, Ohio. That's where I got my English, which was a life experience for me. Yeah, my father went to the University of Toledo to do 2 MBAs there. Wow. So, but it was life because
2 MBAs, not one.
Yeah, he got 2. He got 2 MBAs at Toledo, and I met Emmanuel Stewart at that time.
Oh, man.
I saw Tommy Hearns fighting 8-rounders. I saw Hilmer Kenty 10, Milton McCrory, or Steve McCrory's time. I mean, it's tough to remember all the names, but so I remember my dad going supervisor to Marvin Hagler, Mustafa Hamsho, Pipino Cuevas, Tommy. So I got that in my memory. So boxing was like there, But he said, you're not going to be involved in boxing. I don't want you to be around that. So you got to study computers because you're good with computers. So I went to do my computer bachelor, computer science actually. That's, I think, and I saw the program. Yep. But my passion was obviously boxing and law. So we had many fights. Even my mom had to be in the middle because we had a lot of argument because he didn't want me to be around. But I started helping at the office when I had free time from university. Actually, I started doing it in all software, something similar to what BoxRec is today. So I started going after school, just helping. And I started learning the rules. I started learning how to judge, and I helped with the seminars and stuff like that. So I became part of everybody, but he went around. When he accepts me, I say, okay, now I'm going to night school. I want to be a lawyer. And I already moved to Panama because, a context that changes in life. We needed to be in a better place to serve the sport, be closer to the United States, which is a very important base for us. Mm-hmm. And then I went to night school, became president, and then he got cancer. And basically, not him, but the people around him, said, no, we are the only guy who can trust us. Him. And that's
what year was this that you took the helm?
That's 2015. When I became president. He was still alive. He passes in March. Yeah, so it's 9 years. Yeah, 9 years. But I'm not going to deny it. I feel like I've been before. I
pretty much
because to me, what it changed exactly. Nothing. I'm still serving the sport the way I want. I get my critics. People tell me, you're a manager. You're gonna sue you and this and that. But no, it's just like I fall in love with the stories of the people. It's just as simple as that. We cannot get involved in a decision. Like we cannot tell the judges to put this one to the other one. I love this. I love the sport the same way as a fan. But when I have to put my president hat, that's when I start have trouble with the fans. But. So now in this context, new world, that I love this concept. Everything that's innovation for me and somebody's we'll try to do a venture with them somehow. I won't say joint because legally I could be in trouble, but we'll be part of the venture somehow.
So what was the year that WBA was incorporated? What was that founding
1921.
1920.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And your dad took
1921 in
over
Rhode Island.
in Rhode Island.
Yeah, it was. Let me tell you. Let me go. It was July 2nd.
Providence or something.
No, it was in January when they incorporated it. But the first World Championship fight was one of my favorite fighters of all time, Jack Dempsey against George Carpenter.
Yeah, Jack
July
Dempsey.
2nd.
Wow, it's boxing history. And then when did your dad take the helm as president?
1982.
And then you in
1982 and 1983, the International Boxing Federation came out. That's election. If I can, if we want, you're gonna have me like all day here.
Yeah.
This is an anecdote. It's an anecdote. I was just running in the hallways and everything else, and I remember very well when Don King was supporting Bobby Lee, and Aaron was supporting my father in all that.
Yeah.
We're talking about the 80s too, and my father wins the election without the support of Venezuela. It hurt. He was he was heartbroken, but he forgave at the same time. He got many votes from different Latino countries, especially Panama. That's our tie roots with Panama, and that's why we were there for 12, 13 years, and still Panama is headquarters until I finally get everything set up here. Well, not here, in Houston. And, I remember running around, that's part of the story. In 1983, IBF, the International Boxing Federation starts making the first fights, and I think they incorporated around the 82, but they started in 1983. And the next one, WBO, was the same thing. In a situation that happened, my father won an election again, and so the World Boxing Organization came in.
So you actually predate. You guys, the WBA predates all those.
Yes, wow. Even the World Boxing Council, World Boxing Council.
A lot of people don't know that
because the thing is, we grew. I mean, we started as National Boxing Association. Then in 1962, August 23rd.
NBA.
Oh my! I'm like.
You're like a dictionary. You gotta change.
You don't need Wikipedia with me. You just put my Instagram or my Twitter, and I will give you an answer. No, it's like 23 of August 1963. There was a division. That's when the World Boxing Association started. So there was a division. Afterwards, Mexicans and Professor Ramon Velasquez, if I can remember, to Suleiman, they go and they created the World Boxing Council. I think mainly they got South Korea, Philippines, some countries like that came, and that's where it started. So, but we predate them. All of them, but at the end of the day, like for all my colleagues, I'm like in family, and especially in this new area, this new context, we have to start working together and try to make best fights happen.
I agree.
I would say, like, I think champions have to face champions have to face valuable opponents, but we have to figure a way that our mandatories are worth it. Sometimes at some points, it's not critics at all. I had my difference with there are people regarding the Canelo issue, I have my thought. He has his thoughts. He's following his rules. He's doing nothing wrong. It's just like I think we have to update a little bit the systems. And to tell you, Mauricio Suleiman, in 1 minute of this, he proposed that why we don't have mandatories do like a box off, and whoever wins whenever you have an undisputed champion. That could be an idea. That's part of the job I don't like. I like to follow the kids. I like to follow the kids in their start.
I got two last questions for you. I heard you say one of the most amazing names, Manny Stewart. Do you have a quick Manny Stewart story you can share?
Well, I don't know, because he was like a father. It was like I went to the Kronk. I saw him. I always saw him working, and I saw him working. Because maybe I had like was there Nassim Hamed fight, and maybe I had a beer, but I think he was not drinking, But I used to share a story with him about he had a lot of love for my dad.
Talk about a walking dictionary of boxing.
But he had a lot of love for my dad because my father opened the door with Tommy Hearns in the WBA. So our relationship was very, very nice. I always liked him very quiet. I saw him Klitschko's being advisor of Klitschko. Who else? I think those are like the moments I met Manny. But Manny and I we talk about everything but not boxing. I gotta be honest with you. He gave me advice in life. He helped me when I was divorcing. I tell you, like, stories that he told me to. actually, we just spoke about that I really wanted to be an attorney. Said you got to follow your dreams in the way, you know, like in boxing you do, and I have to be disciplined. And I just took that with me. You know, it was more a personal relationship than a boxing relationship.
Awesome. That's awesome, man. Wow, so a legend. And then lastly, I know you got to run here. Thank you for giving us ample time. What are your thoughts on this new endeavor? The last couple of years, we're at ProBox and ProBox TV, and what the channel's doing, what the fights are. You know, what can you comment on that? What does it mean to you in the sport?
We got a lot of work to do. You know, I think it's like a pilot mode that we're doing with ProBox, but we're gonna strengthen the relationship a little bit more in next year. I wanna meet with Gary Jonas. I have a couple of ideas. I think we met before. We think alike, and I think the thing is this law that we have in the United States right now, Muhammad Ali Act. It's a little bit difficult in order to make this kind of venture like a pro box championship like they want to have. It was something I was expecting, but I think he's has all the tool to develop the ways I see boxing. You know, he's generated interest in eyeballs as we're looking at, and he's just giving opportunities to many. And I'd say he has a lot of WBA titles. You know, you broadcast that. We have a lot of WBA titles. We're looking forward to have some kind of tournament with all these champions at some point to get more competition. Yeah, you don't want to. I don't want to throw too many ideas until I mean.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Stop there.
There's something more. There's something more coming, and with a worldwide vision. That's the way I see it, and I think with Gary we can make it happen.
Awesome. Well, we're excited for it. We thank you for being here. Thank you for giving us ample time. Let's send it back to the studio.